Welcome to Pieces for My Puzzle. I'm your host, Nikki Ship, and I'm excited to be sharing with you my life with a son on the spectrum. This podcast is for anyone who is looking for quick tips and perspective, but most of all, for hope and inspiration. So sit back, relax, and let's put the pieces together. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Pieces for My Puzzle. I'm your host, Nikki Ship. Thank you so much for joining us today. Last week, we talked about some of the misconceptions around an autism diagnosis, and hopefully we were mythbusters in that episode in efforts to bring more awareness about the condition itself and how to go about getting a diagnosis. This week, we are going to talk about something that's actually very personal for me. And to be honest with you, many people do not see this side of me, what I'm about to describe. But so I'm going to be a little bit more transparent today on today's episode and maybe even a little bit more vulnerable. But one thing for sure is that we just don't talk about our emotions very often when it comes to just daily life and what we're dealing with. And I think that this, I think this hits moms a little bit more, dads too, but, obviously I gravitate to talking to other moms because it's helpful for me. But I've noticed that very much these days I need time to vent my frustrations. And I don't know if you guys have ever felt this way. I know I have, sometimes I'm just so frustrated, I just want to scream. And I think it's normal to feel that way, but I think when you have those moments, you kind of have to take a step back and go, okay, am I crazy? Am I not crazy? I just feel like, things are just too much for me right now. And I think that I've really tried to work very hard to how to overcome that when I feel that way. So that's partially what I wanted to talk to you about today. But I have people come to me all the time and say, Nikki, you handle things so well with everything that you have to do. I wouldn't be able to do all of that. But you handle it so well. I just don't know how you handle it. No, I don't. I do not handle it well. That's just because this is how you see how it is now. But I do not handle things well sometimes. And so I guess you could say I'm kind of showing that side a little bit more on today's episode that, the truth of it is that I don't. I've just learned how to put some techniques and manage some things in a way to help me overcome it when I do feel that way. When do I feel the most frustrated? For me personally, I think it's when I'm in a state of overwhelm, and that's when it's the worst for me. So, hello, most of my daily life, I'm in a state of overwhelm, which sounds awful, I know. But I have my own company. I run my own business. I have a staff. I have to run a household. These are just the regular daily things. That doesn't include Drayson's therapies, getting Drayson to and from school, making sure that we know who's carpooling that day. Do I have any paperwork I have to fill out for Drayson? Do we have to make any additional appointments for Drayson? All of those things, it kind of puts me in this awful state of overwhelm sometimes. So, my immediate example that I can think of is most recently, the new year has started and we are going through all of the renewal paperwork. And I love this because a friend once said this to me that she calls the meetings the yes, I'm still autistic meetings. When you go through the reviews, it's like the evaluations and the reviews to make sure, especially with DDD, that he still needs care and services. And that's exhausting. And so I just finished going through a lot of these evaluations, paperwork, filling out the new insurance paperwork for the year, all of those things. And it's overwhelming because in the process of trying to manage daily life, this is just one more thing on my plate. So, and unfortunately, my family takes the brunt of that. I'm not going to make it sound, I am not easy to live with. I will tell you right now, I am not an easy person to live with. When my anxiety spikes and I get overwhelmed, the boys just kind of let me just let it run its course. But at the same time, it's been really difficult for me, I think, over the years to find that balance. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about today. So, but like I said, what you see as the final product right now, if you will, this is not, this took a long time for me to get here, in terms of a lot of crying, a lot of tissue, a lot of tears. And so it's been difficult for me, and it still is every day. And that's okay. And I think for us to be transparent and to admit that is okay. So how do I deal with my frustration? A lot of people will ask me, like, how do you cope, or what do you do? And so I wrote down actually several things that I've done in the past, and I still do a lot of these things now to help me. And I'm going to say this jokingly, but aside from my increased intake of CBD and wine, I'm going to give you a few other things that I do that also help with my frustrations sometimes that I feel like I endure on a daily basis. So, and sometimes it's just even the smallest things that can help us, and that's what I have found. First, just go for a walk. Sometimes in the middle of the day, I just try to take a little bit of a break from work. If I have to get a few things done for Drayson, I'll address them, but then I'll try to just go outside and go for a walk. Even if it's just standing outside for a few minutes and just taking in a couple deep breaths of fresh air, just stepping outside kind of grounds me a little bit more. So sometimes just going for a walk, the fresh air just helps me. Write things down. If you need to, vent on a piece of paper. I have done that. I've done that where I've written furiously on a piece of paper, and then I tear it up into 50 bajillion million little tiny pieces and throw it away. To me, it's a release. I don't want to hold on to those things. I don't want to hold on to even the memory of feeling that way. I just want to get it out of my system. So I will write it down and tear it up. Talk with my friends. Sometimes you just need a friend that will listen to you, and that's not involved in the daily grind of what you do. And I'm very blessed that I have several close friends that are the core of being my support system. And so sometimes you just need someone to listen, and that's all. So don't be afraid to talk to a friend. This is actually, no joke, regular massages. I have a mobile massage service that comes to the house and sets up a massage table, and I get a massage once or twice a month, and so does my husband. No joke. It helps us to relax, and it helps me not just mentally or emotionally. It also helps physically. So I do get regular massages. Sometimes just cry. Sometimes I just have to cry. And there have been times where I'll start crying and my husband says, well, why are you crying? And I'll say, I don't know, but I just need to go cry. If I feel overwhelmed or anxiety spikes, sometimes I just need to let it out. And I find that sometimes after a good cry, I'm okay. Talk to other parents with autistic children. Sometimes getting perspective from them of what they're doing or what's helped them, or maybe you need a fresh idea. You're hitting a wall on trying to, sometimes I'm trying to break through to Drayson, and that frustrates me because it's not happening. Talking to other parents will give you perspective, and maybe they'll give you some fresh ideas on some things that you can try. Plan something that you want to do, whether it be a little mini shopping spree, a trip, go get a manicure or a pedicure, go get a massage. Plan something that you really want to do and look forward to it. I think that that's a big one because that helps to establish the balance for me personally. Communicate to others in your home when you're feeling frustration. As I mentioned, sometimes I just get emotional and I just have to feel that way. And so I just ask my family to let me have it. Today's not a good day and I am just going to be in a foul mood and I'm just going to go in the corner and cry. That has happened on several occasions in our home. And again, I think that's normal. If I don't have the release or an outlet or I'm not letting it go, letting it out, I'm just harboring it. And that doesn't serve anybody. That doesn't serve myself. That doesn't serve my family, my friends. That doesn't serve anybody around me. So don't internalize it. Ask for help. This is a difficult one for me. Okay. I'm going to admit that I don't like asking others for help by nature, and that has been really difficult for me. By nature, I do not wish to burden others. And so even with HAB providers, having care providers in the home, whether they be HAB or respite or our behavioral therapists, our OT or our speech, asking for help has probably been one of the biggest things I've had to overcome my own feelings in order to get the help that we need. And it's been beneficial. The reason why I say that is that if I don't ask for help, I can't get out of my own headspace. And it also helps take some of that pressure off to know that you're not alone. You can get answers. You can get help. There are people there to help you with your child's care. And I think that it's important to remember that. We rely too much sometimes on ourselves, and then we get beaten down. And again, I am no good to myself or the rest of my family if I'm just taking the brunt of it all the time and not asking for help. Give yourself permission to feel frustrated, angry, or angry with the promise of working through it. So like I said, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad or depressed or frustrated or to have anxiety over a situation with your child. I can tell you, I have anxiety every day when I have to take Drayson to even someplace as simple as the grocery store. I have anxiety because I'm not quite sure if he's going to have a behavior, if he's going to react a certain way around crowds. So I'm, if you will, I feel like sometimes I'm in a constant state of anxiety. So I give myself permission to feel the feelings that I need to feel. Does that make sense? I said that repeatedly, but give yourself permission to feel what you want to, but also promise to yourself that you're going to work through it. Just remember that some of these emotions aren't good to stay in that state of. I don't want to stay in a state of frustration. I don't want to stay in a state of anger, and that's important. So process, work through it, and work towards a positive attitude and willingness to continue to push forward after processing some of your emotions. And if you don't feel like you're getting any better, as I've always said in past episodes, and I'll say it again, consider maybe seeking professional help or talking to somebody, a counselor or a psychologist or some other type of provider to help you. Sometimes that's very helpful. Having a third party that has a looking from the outside in, doesn't have a biased opinion. Sometimes talking to somebody else objectively is helpful. I hope that you find all of this helpful enough, at least to give yourself maybe some time to start thinking about how to do some emotional self-care for yourself, because I think that that's really important. Don't forget that you cannot serve others around you, your family, your friends, and the people around you, unless you're taking care of yourself first. This concludes our episode for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have questions or comments or even a show topic that you would like to hear on our show, feel free to send me an email at info@piecesformypuzzle.com. I would love to hear from you. Feel free also to like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, please do at Pieces for My Puzzle. If you like what you're hearing, please spread the word to others in the community. Let's help spread awareness and hopefully some ideas for resources to help others in the autism community as well. And feel free to give us a good rating on your preferred podcast platform of choice. Thanks again for tuning in. Until next time, keep working on your puzzle. And remember, you don't have to have it all solved in a day. Take care.
Okay, take it away when you're ready.
Okay, hold on. I thought I was going to hiccup right now. No hiccups. Ugh. If I start hicking up, if I start hiccuping in the middle of an episode, I'm going to sound like a drunk. Okay. Here we go.